Hi, I think you can hear me now. I was muted before. Let us now look at assessment criteria 2.2. Assessment criteria 2.2 in responsible marketing. So in this assessment criteria 2.2, we're going to particularly look at the marketing mix. So the involvement in the marketing mix and looking at the marketing mix through an ethical and a sustainability responsible lens, right? You know what the marketing mix stands for. It's the product, price, place, and promotion. We call them the 4 Ps of marketing. And the 4 Ps of marketing, product, price, place, and promotion, deals with the product, a physical product. So if you are selling a product, this water bottle is a product. This pen is a product. If you are selling a tangible product, physical tangible product, then you can use the marketing mix, product, price, place, promotion strategies in order to grow and build a marketing plan for your business. But if you are selling a service, what are services? This right now is a service. It's intangible, right? Education. If you are marketing an insurance company, a bank, they are services because there are no tangible products. So now we are going to look at how you can employ the marketing mix and build an ethical, sustainable strategy for your organization and looking at it through a responsible lens, right? So within this area, we're going to touch on some keywords. One is the marketing mix that I just explained to you. The other one, guys, is this word called ethics, transparency, are some important words that we need to discuss in this subject. We've already looked at the triple bottom line in the previous assessment criteria. We've defined corporate social responsibility. So we will be revisiting those concepts. But let's start our discussion with the components of a sustainable marketing strategy. The components of a sustainable marketing strategy. Now, we all know the SOSTEC framework. Now, usually a marketing plan, if you are embarking on a marketing plan, the first step number one, is for you to undertake what we call a marketing audit or a situational analysis. Situational analysis. So a situational analysis is to clearly understand where we are now, what is our marketing environment and its operating landscape. You can then do analysis of stakeholders. You have 3 types of stakeholders: internal, connected, and external stakeholders. You can then look at the micro environment to understand competitor rivalry, collaborations with suppliers, distributors, strategic alliances. Then you'll be looking at your vision, mission, and values, your purpose statements, and the opportunities to see whether all these things are in line. So a situation analysis is the first step of a marketing plan. So even when you are doing a sustainable marketing plan or a sustainability focused marketing plan for your organization, you will still undertake a thorough situational analysis or an audit of the current situation, can compare it with your competitor activity. You can look at the market, stakeholders, and a comprehensive audit as to where we are now. Then the second step is to set objectives and goals. So usually objectives can be short, medium, or long term. Short term is usually 1 year. Medium term can be 2 to 3 years. Anything above 3 years can be long term. And those long term objectives are also called goals. So what are you looking at achieving? I will show you some examples in the next assessment criteria of how Toyota is looking at achieving net zero emissions for all their carbon that they use in their manufacturing production process. They want to very soon reach equilibrium, right, where they become a net zero carbon manufacturer, a carbon manufacturer, which is detrimental to society. So everyone needs to take care of their carbon footprint, because when all the factories and everyone produces carbon, the environment gets polluted. So today with the Paris climate agreement, we saw how they're trying to reverse the global warming trend. So these are broad issues. You have the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, which we are going to cover in the last chapter. So these are broad objectives a business can have. And then you can have short-term societal, environmental objectives and initiatives as well. So what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Where do we want to go in terms of our responsible or sustainable vision and mission? How can we align our sustainability strategies to our business strategies? These are some of the things that you need to ask yourselves when embarking on a sustainable marketing strategy. And the third step, how are we going to get there? Situation analysis, first step, where are we now? Second step, goals, objectives, where do we want, what are we looking to achieve? Or where do we want to be? Strategies, how do we get there? What are the ways in which we can get there? Is it through partnerships? Is it through any improvements in our value chain, both primary and support activities? Is it through collaboration, leadership, acquisitions? How are we going to get there? And the next step is tactical plans or actions. And here we are going to look at essentially the marketing mix. And we are going to do that in the next few slides. And step number 5 is to measure and to set some KPIs. And I like this word, return on purpose. Return on purpose. We have, in accounting, we look at return on investment. Return on investment or return on equity. Those are accounting terms. But since you're looking at strategy through a sustainability lens here, you're looking at return on purpose. So what is your returns on sustainability market? Triple bottom line, remember that. Profit, people, and planet. Triple bottom line. Return on purpose. Continuous learning. And how do you report and manage your data? So these are some of the key components in developing a sustainable marketing strategy. Now we're going to delve deep into the 7 Ps, the marketing mix, and look at revisiting the 7 Ps through a responsible, sustainable marketing lens. So I'm going to spend some time here. And it is imperative that we use the marketing mix because it's the tools that the marketers need to fundamentally use. Just like a carpenter would use the hammer, the saw. Those are the tools for a carpenter. Or a mason would have his tools. The marketer has to use the 7 Ps. Those are the most fundamental tools that a marketer would use. And here, guys, we're going to look at how adopting an ethical, sustainable marketing approach within the marketing mix will help the organization. So let's start with product. So you know what the product means. Right there in blue, you can see some of the applications of a product. We talk about product, we talk about quality of a product, the value for money, the warranty period, the brand, the design, the usability, the usefulness. Does it solve a problem? So those are aspects that we look at when we see a product. But when you look at a product through a responsibility, sustainable lens, we look at a product's packaging. Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? Then how about the end of life? When the product reaches the level of recycling, even if you buy a battery for a car, after some time the battery dies. Then that is called end of life. What do you do after that? Do you just dispose it? Is it being buried? Is it just dumped into the ocean like many products are? So these are the considerations that one must think about when we look at the marketing mix through a sustainability lens. The circular economy, we discussed this. Circular economy. We discussed this in the previous assessment criteria. The circular economy, how you manage the life cycle of your products and how you manage the scarce raw materials that we use to manufacture our products. And again, when we talk about product, we can talk about the consumer's role, the reputation of the product, the reassurance. Can we trace the product back to the suppliers, right? Can we trace the product? So if you buy coffee at Starbucks, can you trace it back to the grower? That's called the traceability. The traceability, very important. Because Starbucks can be a responsible company, but when you trace it back to the grower, maybe the grower is not responsible or the grower is using child labor. So traceability becomes very important and taking responsibility. And then we talk about price. Pricing can have pricing strategies like the penetration strategy, cost plus, loss leader are all pricing strategies. And price communicates value. So when we talk about price, we have discussed these concepts, the concept of the fair trade organization. What are the ethical partnerships that you have? We spoke of Body Shop. We spoke of a few other examples about the importance of managing price and avoiding squeezing your supply chain too much so that you make all the profits as the seller or the distributor and you pay an unfair wage or unfair prices to the suppliers. So these are all considerations. Now, if a supermarket is buying its vegetables, sometimes a supermarket may have a lot of bargaining power because a supermarket may buy vegetables for 100 plus 200, 300, or even in the case of Cargill's 500 plus outlets. So when you look at one supplier, you might ask him how many lorries do you have of carrots? But the supplier might say, oh no, I don't have a lorry. I have only like 10 gunny bags. Then you tell them, okay, this is the price I'm going to buy it, but I'll buy everything. So you have to be very careful in doing that, because that supplier has grown that carrots for 1 year and harvested. There's a lot of money and sweat, blood, and tears that he has invested. So you have to be careful in negotiating that price and avoid supply chain squeeze. So many companies do this because they can increase their profits. And that is the ethical lens that you need to look at price in. And then we look at place. Place is the location, the distribution. Are you a retailer, wholesaler, local export player, or are you distributing through e-commerce and internet? Right? So when you're looking at place, obviously you need to look at the carbon footprint of your distribution channels. The carbon footprint on your distribution channels. If you are importing your products, then again, there's a lot of carbon, because you have, if it's air freighted, then there are a lot of air miles. And air freight means, again, there's a lot of carbon footprint there, carbon emissions. Sea freight, less so, but still, there's still a lot of carbon emissions. So can you support your global suppliers? Sorry, your local suppliers? Can you support your local suppliers? Can you find suppliers from within the vicinity? So these are some of the aspects of place. And the fourth one is promotion. So when we talk about promotion, we have the promotional tools like advertising, public relations, social media. And from a less responsibility or a sustainability lens, you have to look at how you promote your products well, yes, but avoid greenwashing. Avoid greenwashing. Ensure that you are using standards such as fair trade, organics, overconsumption behaviors. So it's not about having the best campaign and selling more. Poor lifestyle promotion, using the wrong messaging. We're going to investigate that in the next assessment criteria, where you're polluting the environment, polluting the minds of people, especially children. You use pester power sometimes to promote your products amongst children. So those are not very good habits and things that marketers should do. And when we talk about people, we talk about the different stakeholders and the governance record. How we can pay fair wages, salaries, flexible working, diversity, equity. So these are the factors with regard to managing people. Then the process, again, is the service delivery, after sales service. So how do you ensure you have a user-friendly, sustainable process in delivering your products and services? Can you use technology such as AI, blockchain, big data? Can you look at packaging, how it is convenient in terms of transportation, handling, distribution? So that's process-related issues. And physical evidence means the ambience, the premises, the stores, right? So physical evidence in terms of your buildings, your stores, how do you make them green or environmental friendly? Access to sustainability credits. Also, in terms of your, you might have disabled people, customers who need access. So you need to look at the physical evidence, your store layouts, how congenial they are, how you are using recycling material. So these are to do with physical evidence. Okay. So In a sense, you need to have a good, broad understanding of the 7 Ps and then how the 7 Ps can be applied in an ethical and sustainability context. So we will continue that discussion here. Examples of ethical decisions in the marketing mix. So the product, you have to use marketing research, but marketing research means you are talking to customers to get their feedback. So that must be ethically done, ensuring the privacy and confidentiality of customers. Define market segments that do not discriminate against particular segments. And you need to genuinely serve your products to all segments, not to one segment. Develop products that are safe and select materials that are not harmful to users. Some products may have a lot of ingredients that are not conducive to the human body. And these are responsibilities that you have, because you know that although sometimes you can get away with your terms and conditions, at the end of the day, there are children consuming these products. And if you use substandard materials, you have ethical governance responsibility towards the customer. So these are things that as marketers, you need to be mindful about. Manufacture products using materials that are safe for users, conditions that are safe for employees. Clearly define and honor the warranties and after-sale agreements. Price, full disclosure. Do not engage in unethical practices. Fully disclose any other bundled pricing, transparent pricing. Distribution. Unfair pressure should not be exerted on channel members. They should not be manipulated. Privacy, confidentiality of the channel or distribution members must be ensured. Communications, no deception or misrepresentation. High pressure selling, manipulative sales techniques should be avoided. So these are some of the ethical considerations. Marketers are guilty of most of these things. And you need to be really, really careful, because you have to uphold the integrity of the profession. So we spoke of these two terms: transparency, authenticity. Transparency is critical to building trust and demonstrating authenticity. Brands should be open and honest about their sustainability efforts, sharing both successes and challenges. Transparent communication helps consumers see the brand's genuine commitment to sustainability and fosters a deeper connection. And in order to do this, in order to be transparent, authentic, most companies, in addition to its annual report, they produce something called the corporate sustainability report. And this corporate sustainability report, as you can see here, here are some examples. These corporate sustainability reports are audited by external parties. So companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, ACCA, these are institutions that you can commission, can invite them to come and study your carbon footprint, your sustainability efforts. Let's say if you're a bank, HNB or commercial or Bank of Ceylon, you can invite them, they'll charge a fee to come and study your end-to-end processes of your carbon footprint. And also all your sustainability initiatives that you do year-round, your goals. And then they will produce a report and sometimes even give you a rating, so that you can then take that independently commissioned report and go to your customers and say, here's the good and the bad and the ugly we do. And we have some goals to now improve this year on year. So corporate sustainability reporting is a very important exercise that many companies today engage in. And transparency and authenticity is very important. Consumers want information, unpacked information, labeling information in terms of ingredients, nutrition facts, recycling, country of origin. You know, sometimes people don't call calories, calories. They don't call sugar, sugar. They call it different other names. So you have to be genuine about your effort, because there are children consuming this, there are pregnant moms consuming this. You have to understand that you cannot greenwash, or your credibility, your authenticity cannot be in question. We still have many products in Sri Lanka that don't have an expiry date. We still have. I went to Laksala the other day and I bought some nicely packed, right? Nicely packed, some local ingredients, to be given to a foreigner. Unfortunately, it did not have an expiry date, but the packaging was brilliant. So what they told me was, you can keep it for a long time. Now, that is not an answer. In today's world, you can't say ingredients can be kept for a long time. What do you mean by long time? Long time is to me a lifetime. Can you keep it for a lifetime? No. So then it needs to have an expiry date. It needs to have an expiry date. So the consumer's rights are protected, especially in the West. You can't do this kind of thing. In Sri Lanka, we still have this problem because our laws are not strong. And of course, people ignore these things. They don't really pay attention still to, nutrition facts, labeling, which are very, very important factors. And then we discussed the triple bottom line before. We discussed the dimension of the triple bottom line: profit, people, and planet. Profit means your economic responsibility. People means your social responsibility. And planet means your environmental responsibility. So your social economic must be equitable. Your environmental and economic must be viable. And your environmental and social must be livable. And right there in the bullseye, right in the center, is your sustainability strategy. So the triple bottom line can be used effectively to develop a sustainability strategy for the organization. And now I want to talk about 3 important commitments of a sustainable marketer. Now, this is important, because if you and I don't uphold these principles in our profession, in the marketing profession, then we will fail and our organizations will fail. So the authors here of this book encourage us to commit to using our marketing skills as a force for good towards taking responsibility with full transparency and honesty when it comes to messaging and communication in developing our ads and our creatives. We are also called to update our knowledge about the global challenges on climate crisis, ethical and sustainable marketing, and also use facilities like the Carbon Literacy Project, the UN Sustainability Development Goals. Spend some time on their websites, read all this, watch the videos I have shared here. Because as marketers, we need to update our knowledge and commit to updating the skills and the competencies and our knowledge, so that if we learn more, because the world is changing, then we can go back and practice this in the organization. And how we also commit to working across business functions to courageously address all the challenges, right? There are so many challenges in terms of equity, diversity, inclusion, mental health. And as marketers, you are responsible to communicate the message within the organization. We call that internal marketing. So you have to then work with cross-functional teams. And corporate social responsibility is something that we've touched on before, where we integrate social and environmental concerns into our business strategy, involve our stakeholders. And finally, we conclude this area by looking at the ethical marketing mix. In this diagram, we look at 4 factors of fundamentally how we take responsibility in product development, in delivering the product, price transparency in terms of place, distribution, the fairness that we have towards our suppliers and distributors, the channels, and promotion means promoting with honesty, integrity, and credibility. That is this chapter. I will now see you in chapter 3, assessment criteria 3.1. Thank you.